it's like at first it was a thing of like, I'll just tell the truth because that's it. That's the truth. But then it became a thing of like, oh, it's like, how can you doubt that? It's the truth. But then it became a thing of like, oh. It's not necessarily that you don't believe the truth, it's that you can't see the truth. 3 years later, I am not suicidal. I am not suicidal. All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome back to True Crime Loser. I hope you're doing well. So, folks, today we're going to go over Jussie Smollett's wild 6-hour sentencing. Took place Thursday of last week. Real quick, he got 150 days in Cook County Jail. If he has good behavior, he'll be out in 75. 30 months felony probation. The time in jail counts for it. He's got to pay the city of Chicago $120,000 in restitution, and he's got to pay a $25,000 fine. We're going to start with the big moment, the outburst where he proclaimed he is not suicidal. I want to talk about a bunch of moments that happened before that, but about 5 hours or 5.5 hours into the 6-hour thing, after his lawyers tried to argue that nothing was fair again, and then Jussie had a bunch of friends and family beg for mercy, say that they volunteered with him a couple years ago and he was nice. And then finally, it's time, and they asked Jussie, would you like to say anything? And there was a lot of anticipation for that moment of, would you like to say something, Jussie? Because Jussie has no instincts on what he should say and how it comes off. And the whole story with the trial a couple months ago was that Jussie blew everybody away, stunned everyone, left everybody scratching their head because he got up and went on and on for 3 hours up on the witness stand, and no one was buying what he was selling, and it was totally delusional. And every legal analyst that I could find that heard it said if Jussie wasn't looking at jail time before the 3-hour bizarre testimony that no one believed, he probably is now, because you can't get up and disrespect the court like that for that long and just have there be no repercussions. So now 5 hours worth of the official sentencing hearing happened, and then it's finally like, Jussie, would you like to say something? His lawyer, they talk for a second. It's like, is he going to? Come on, Jussie. And the lawyer says, can we take a break? It's like, oh, the anticipation is building. So they take a break, and then they come back, and Jussie decides not to say anything. The judge goes on for like 45 minutes, which we'll talk about. Really just lays down the brutal truth for old Jussie. Jussie, you could tell, told himself, sit there with your shoulders back, don't act like you're bothered from it. But the judge pinned him, articulated everything. You know, imagine being Jussie's 39 years old. Your mom is there, your friends are there, your grandma's there, a bunch of people that respect you is there, and a judge that has many years of experience of doing these sentencing speeches. He's got good instincts. You can tell he can read people. And he sat there for 45 minutes and told Jussie how it is. And that's got to be, I kept thinking throughout this whole thing, just looking at Jussie like, damn, Jussie, look where you're at. What an experience to sit there with your shoulders back, pretending everything's okay while a judge goes, you have some good qualities that these people are into, but you also have a dark, profoundly arrogant and narcissistic side to your personality. He's just sitting there like, my mom and friends are in the room. This is a weird place to be when you're 39 years old. So it's read the sentence, the jail time, the fines, the restitution, everything. And then the judge asks Jussie, do you have any questions? And Jussie pulls down his COVID mask and says quietly, I am not suicidal. That's what I would like to say. And the judge meets it with hilariously mild tone. The judge just goes, all right. And then I don't think it was a big enough moment for Jussie, so he says it again, I am not suicidal. And again, the judge just goes, okay, Mr. Uche, any post-sentencing motions to put in? And Jussie then has to do what Jussie does, and he stands up and he goes, I am not suicidal. I am innocent. And then he says, quote, if I did this, I stuck my fist in the fears of Black Americans for the past 400 years and the fears of the LGBT community. And I'm thinking, is that what he meant to say? Did he flub the big line, I stuck my fist in the fears? Is that a saying? I don't know. I Googled it. The saying didn't come up. I don't know what else he was trying to say. Not kind of a weird time for a fisting reference. I stuck my fist in the fears, but anyway, he goes of the LGBT community. And then it's probably my favorite part, right? That's the clip that everybody saw. I am not suicidal, thinking he's like an Epstein type person. I am not suicidal. If I did this, I stuck my fist. So we get through that part. And then he has, I think, 7 or 8 high-price celebrity type lawyers at this point, and they are stunned. Jesse's standing up because he already did this. If I did do this, my fist. And now all of his lawyers are standing up and they have a look of shock on their face. And this part was really entertaining for me because if you're a high dollar celebrity lawyer, your whole reputation is based on can you get the celebrity out of jail. No jail time is everything when you're a celebrity lawyer, right? I'm sure they told Jussie for months, Jussie, don't worry about this. Live your life. We're going to take care of it. The wheels of justice turn really slowly, so to always stay constantly stressed out about this, that you're going to go to jail, isn't going to do anything for your health. You're not going to jail. We'll handle this. Don't worry. So all of a sudden now, the 5 months in jail sentence has been read. He did this, I am not suicidal, unhinged outburst. And now his lawyers are standing there going, oh no. Because one, they're probably friends with Jussie enough at this point, they don't want to see him. But two, it's like I said, your whole reputation as a high dollar celebrity lawyer is, we kept him out of jail, we kept her out of jail. R. Kelly just hired the lawyer that Bill Cosby used to get out of jail for that reason. And so they're up there. And so one of his lawyers, who was shaking her head the whole time the judge was delivering his sentencing speech, which also, again, I'm like, play the game a little bit. Is it really going to help you to just shake your head at everything he says? So that lawyer, she requests that they officially, she puts in a motion right there. Smollett standing up. The lawyers are all standing up looking stunned. She puts in a motion to reconsider the sentence, which is absurd because the sentence was read just 7 seconds ago. So the judge goes, all right, well, obviously I thought about the sentence that I went with. And so respectfully, that motion is denied. And then these two lawyers, there's 2 other lawyers over here. One's on the computer that they're talking. And then the other one, okay, we put in our official appeal. We're sending it over right now. We would like to put in the official appeal for the whole thing. And the judge goes, okay, your appeal is put in timely. It's officially been put in. Great. And then you see another one of the lawyers, the light bulb goes off in her head and she runs over to the guy that just said that. And the judge is talking about other things about his promotion. And you see her whisper in his ear. And what she says is something like, okay, so in light of the motion to appeal the whole thing, what if I requested that they suspend the jail sentence in light of the motion? And you see him go, yeah, let it go, let it rip. And so she raises her hand and the judge goes, yeah. And she goes, in light of, and she knows she's asking a lot and she loses confidence. Her body language really turns. She goes, in light of the recent motion, which remember it was filed 2 seconds ago. In light of the recent motion, we request that you would suspend the jail sentence. And the judge doesn't hear, so he makes her repeat what she already had a hard time getting out. The judge goes, what? And she goes, even with less confidence, we request that you suspend the jail sentence. And the judge goes, no, respectfully denied. And then there's 2 lawyers on the other side of her, Tina Gladian and him. They're furiously trying to figure something out. And then he raises his hand and Jussie is standing there the whole time, just looking back and forth the whole time. And he raises his hand and says in this tone of voice, like, come on, judge, you got to work with us. He goes, okay, in light of the motion, can we stay? Which I don't even know technically what that means, but it's just another way to not go to jail for Jussie. He goes, can we request that we just stay? And the judge goes, no, No, the wheels of justice turn slowly, and the hammer of justice has to come down at some point, and it's coming down right now. And so that's it. Again, all of his lawyers are just looking around at each other going, our one thing was supposed to be to keep old Smollett out of jail. How are we going to tell the next celebrity that we represent, hey, he did jail time? So then they walk Jussie out. They give him the respect enough. They don't put him in cuffs. They didn't, when he's yelling about fisting, they didn't shut him down. The bailiff did a nice pat on his back, like, come on, Jussie, we'll head out. So they're following him. Then Jussie sticks up his fist again, maybe the fist, I'm not sure, that he's stuck in the fears of black people for the past 400 years. So as he's walking out, he's got the fist up and he goes, I am not suicidal. I am not suicidal. I could have said I was guilty a long time ago. And then he disappears into the bowels of the Chicago justice system. Pretty wild. Since then, Cook County Jail came out and said that he is in kind of like the psych ward type place, but not because they think he's a mental patient, but because they got to keep him out of general population in a cell by himself. So they said they had him in that wing just for safety, but he can come out of his cell, he can watch TV, all of this. Jussie Smollett's brother came out and said, Jussie's in the psych ward, this is nuts, like he's getting abused in there. And then Cook County Jail came out with a statement that said they moved Jussie. Again, he's going to be in a protective wing and cell. They want him to be able to watch TV out of his cell, and he gets to hang out with staff and stuff. I mean, it's not ideal, but they don't think he would be safe out in the general population. Like I said, if it's good behavior, and since he's just hanging out by himself, it should be pretty easy to have good behavior. He'll be out in half that time, but his family is really arguing that he's being tortured, like a Ghislaine type thing. His lawyers have put in emergency motions to have him out on bond. We'll see. That was as of this morning or yesterday, so we'll see how those go. And so real quick, I'm just going to talk about the judge's 45-minute sentencing speech that he talked about until he actually read the sentence, and talk about the aggravating factors, right? How did Jussie go from probably not doing jail time with what he was charged with to pretty much everybody on every news station I could find being like, I think he's probably got himself jail time. And one of those is I think his lawyers didn't play the game enough, right? If I was Jussie's lawyer from way back when, I think I could have kept him I'm pretty confident I could have kept him completely out. He would have had to plead guilty and apologize, which I don't know if maybe this is what he wanted. Maybe Jussie, in the end, this is more what Jussie wanted, is to hold on to that he didn't do it. He gets to save face with the people that he's volunteered with and his close family, because if he admitted, all right, I'm tired of this. I did it to try to be more famous. What a nightmare this is. I want to move on. I think the reason he really can't do that is, publicly, Jussie thinks that he would just get shamed beyond belief, but he's already, in my opinion, gone through that. But I don't think he can admit it to himself and to his family that he ruined his family in a way. They cut to them in the courtroom, and his family looks like they have been hit in the face with a club every day for 3 years. They're just used up. And if Jussie were to come clean, he would have to explain to them that he did this to himself and to his family. And so maybe Jussie, he gets to keep, I could have said I did it a long time ago. The couple months in jail will go by quick, and then he gets to live out the rest of his life holding on to the fact that he never budged. He stuck to his story. But if the goal was to not go to jail, I think I could have done it. And I think his high-priced lawyers could have played the whole thing way better and said, Jussie, we got to play the game a little bit with the judge. the story that you're going with for this whole thing is that these brothers attacked you for being gay. There's no evidence, no one's buying it. So don't get up on the stand. Let's have a little strategy a little bit. But I'm sure that Jussie was the boss of the whole thing. But anyway, these were the aggravating factors that the judge cited for how a charge that normally would be given probation, how he ended up getting 5 months in jail. So the premeditation, right? He said the judge said he sees a lot of cases where it's a crime of impulse. It's a road rage incident. It's a fight in a bar where someone lands a good punch and then the other person's really hurt. And they're sitting there in the courtroom going, how did I end up here? I woke up in the morning thinking my life was good, and then I had a road rage incident, and now I'm looking at serious jail time. I mean, we've talked about that on this show. That's got to be one of the scariest thoughts in the world is you wake up like, life is going good, and then later that day you're in cuffs because of something horrible that happened in the moment. You get into an altercation or something, and it's like, how did this happen? Well, he said for old Jussie Poo, it's like the opposite. He meticulously planned this stupid hoax hate crime and had many chances. They did a trial run. He had so many chances for the whole thing to hit him and go, what am I doing? No, cancel this. Sorry. I would guess that he pitched the thing. This is just my speculation. I would guess he pitched the whole thing to the brothers as an acting gig. That's like how show business is, right? These two brothers, they feel like they're right there, right? Empire was a very successful show. The first episode of the second season got like 29 million views. So they're thinking, all right, well, we're friends with Jussie. We're right there. We got this good look. If the show just needs someone with our look, we're right there. And then if they get on the show, got a couple speaking lines, you could kickflip that into a full-blown acting career for the rest of your life. So I think they were thinking, we're right there on Empire. We got a connection with Jussie. And then I'm sure Jussie said, we're going to do this. I got a little acting job for you. We're going to do this hoax hate crime. It's going to be like theater out in the world. It's going to prove this point. It's going to help the way it will show, some of the fears that the marginalized community has to go through, and the art piece will make a statement, and it's kind of like theater out in the world. I really think that he pitched it to the brothers as let's do this acting thing together. Maybe he was promising them more stuff. Whatever it was, it's just some sinister stuff. And then, so another aggravating factor that ended up Jussie in jail instead of just probation and stuff was the judge talked about the damage to real hate crime victims and the whole thing that goes with that. You made a mockery of it. Are like police gonna treat people different when they get to a scene in Chicago because they thought everybody can understand that part. And then he said what everybody was wondering about is the long 3-hour totally Fantasyland testimony going to come back and bite him. And the judge said, quote, and the capper of all cappers. So it definitely did. The capper of all cappers, your performance on the witness stand, which can only be described as pure perjury. And one of his lawyers, Tina Gladian, in another just argument, and I'm like, how does that help anything? At the beginning of the sentencing, argued that the reason he wasn't charged for perjury for the big 3-hour nonsense testimony is because it was all true. And if it wasn't, then they would have charged him with perjury. It's like, I don't know about that, but there it is. There's motions and everything you can imagine still being filed, so maybe this isn't the end of the saga, but it feels like it probably is. Jussie walked out. I am not suicidal. The fist up and disappeared into the bowels. So what a wild saga. Couldn't have had a more interesting ending. I would say definitely, if you haven't watched any of the sentencing, I'll link them in the in the description, but there's like a 45-minute video of the judge doing his whole speech and then Jussie's outburst, and then there's a 5-hour and 40-minute video of the whole thing. I think they're both worth watching, but I'm going to cut it off there. See you soon. Love you all. Why? Stiving why? Shamida.